Alright, let's see what we got here for today. How VTubing's biggest grifter got bullied off the internet.
Miles Chung is a, let's say, political commentator that truly got into the spotlight in the run-up to the 2024 US presidential election. You see, Ian would tweet daily. We're talking hundreds of tweets, all centered on the topic of this election. The guy was acting like his life was hanging in the balance if the wrong candidate ended up winning. In fact, he was so passionate about this topic that it even reached the owner of the website, Elon Musk, who retweeted and replied to his posts constantly. Except, here's the thing, Ian wasn't even a United States citizen. He was Malaysian, and he lived in Malaysia. He didn't have a green card. Hell, he didn't even have a US tourist visa. In fact, most shocking in all this, the guy had never stepped foot on United States territory before. Not once in his life. And yet here he was, shamelessly quote tweeting things like multiculturalism will tear our country apart and saying, that's right, they need to get out of our country. Bro, what do you mean our? What? Or how about I refuse to be governed by an Ugandan named Zohran Kwame Mamdani, get out of my country. What do you mean your country? Excuse me.
The Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith Qudsi.
You see, the thing with Ian, if that's even his real name, is that he was the perfect example of a grifter. Someone who pretends to believe in something while not giving a shit about it, all to benefit directly from it, whether financially or by other means. And he sure as hell did. Not only does he have 1.2 million followers, he also lives in the United Arab Emirates, a country that's significantly more expensive than his home country of Malaysia. So why am I telling you all this? Well, it's simple. For as long as so many of us can remember, a grifter only took on a few different forms, whether it be a politician or someone extremely rich, people of power. It was a known fact that these people changed their politics based on the highest bidder that was filling their pockets. But today we live in unprecedented times where just about anyone can become a grifter and benefit directly from it. It's not a privilege reserved for the people in power anymore. This means anyone can be a grifter, even if it was a severely alcoholic mess of a VTuber. You see, from the first day that Elfin Psyop started streaming, she targeted a very specific demographic. Males who would typically share the same ideologies you'd find on 4chan, who love edgy humor, dislike minorities, and most importantly, never receive female attention. All she had to do was post slurs and insults directed towards minorities every day, all while acting fun. I mean, she was literally posting audios of her gooning to her general chat in her Discord server, accessible by anyone, okay? But this, of course, had its massive benefits. Elfin was so successful in doing this. She was so unstoppable too, invincible to all sorts of criticisms, that you even had bigger and more viral VTubers try to emulate her, try to copy her. That's how dangerous her influence had become. But that would all be until December 2025, when demons from her past would catch up to her and expose to us all that she's actually one of those minorities that she insulted daily. It would turn out that she is Pakistani. This is where her entire life falls apart as her sims try to grapple with the fact that she is a minority. But of course, it doesn't end here, because she might have committed a pretty serious crime that made her eventually want to delete all her socials to scrub the proof. And yes, it involved a minor. This is one of the more uniquely disturbing videos I've ever made, and word of warning, throughout all of it, you'll lose hope in humanity multiple times. So before we get started, I thought I'd get the
This minor thing has become a major issue.
good news out of the way first. I was able to achieve a very cool goal of mine, hiring my artist Weiwang full time. Yes, the same artist who makes illustrations of me all the time and who also made my VTuber model. This was all thanks to your guys' support and, of course, Stacked. It's a creator platform that aims to rival other sites like Patreon. But instead of forcing you to sign up to paid memberships in order to take a more attractive percentage, they just take a flat 10%, nothing more, nothing less. And on the day of this video uploading, I'm launching my page with them. There are multiple tiers on my page, all made to give you the most value out of your money, and they include 4 high-quality illustrations from Wayo every month, as well as 2 exclusive rambling videos from me where I just yap. So if you have insomnia, I think this is perfect for you. I'll be very active there, so if you're interested, the link's going to be in the description and the pinned comment. And now the good news is finally out of the way, let's get to the bad news. The entire story of Elfin Psyop. Let's do this. Alright, so first off, what is a girl failure? This is something that Elfin Psyop would identify as for the entirety of her
boy,
career.
here we go.
It's also one of the main reasons she was able to gain so much influence in such a short time. Well, if you Google this term, you'll get a definition saying a fictional girl or woman who is endearingly pathetic or inept. And while yes, this is true to some degree, it barely touches on the whole story. In fact, if I had to explain what a girl failure meant, then I would say it's nothing more than a modern and extremely bastardized version of a damsel in distress. Yes, the idea of a woman that finds herself in such a desperate and helpless situation and can only ever hope to get out of it thanks to the help of a man, preferably a white knight in shining armor. He would extend his hand to her, he would save her, and they would live their life happily ever after, with the man taking full credit for the woman's happiness. At its essence, this is exactly what the term girl failure means. A woman who is such a loser and can't take care of themselves, that's just waiting on a man that can fix her. But when it came to Elfin, she wasn't just a girl failure, she also happened to be someone who was very mentally ill and severely alcoholic. But don't take my word for it.
I was not in the place that I wanted to be, but I worked for it. Like, I worked to be where I really wanted to be.
This is how she would introduce herself to people who would find her account on Twitter. Hello, new people. I'm Elfin. I'm a loser. In parentheses, girl failure. Whatever. Stinky elf federal agent. I love bugs, and I've got bruises. I'm a very messy person, tired, and a massive alcoholic. My interests are conspiracy theories, astronomy, military,
at least she is honest.
and coding. I'm also extremely edgy, so you might see me post retarded rants while drunk. Wow, what a flattering introduction. I can totally see how she needs a white knight to save her from her predicament. But other than her making alcohol her entire personality and being a very clear example of what a pick-me girl is, you'd probably never guess that this person started streaming in February of 2024 and by mid-2025 had over 100,000 followers. So how the hell did she manage to become so big in such a short amount of time while having an extremely loyal community that would practically die for her? Well, it involved a multitude of different factors. One of the first factors is that she was edgy, like extremely edgy. It's as if she was competing for the Edgy Olympics and wanted first place. Like this right here was a tweet of someone saying they went to the mental hospital and the nurse laughed at them for attempting to leave this planet, right? What does Elfin do? She would quote tweet this and say, can I just say you deserve it if you fail at it? Like, it ain't fucking hard to kill yourself, I'm sorry. How about this tweet? Some black people shouldn't have rights. Or this one, where she says, so I became a Nazi, yeah bitch, I'm the villain, showing a German pistol. She tried way too hard, and for the average person, this was extremely cringy. Like in this massive tweet with multiple paragraphs, she's basically saying, oh, you're saying the N-word hard R, you think it makes you based, edgy, cool? Say actual
Attention
loud.
seeker.
I want more
I
edginess.
see.
Like imagine lacking so much self-awareness that you think this is actually cool. This was as far back as November 2024, and look, it would have normally been ignored. She's not the first one to be this edgy on Twitter. Normally, right, someone like Elfin would have never gained more than 10,000 followers. I would have never had to make a video about her to begin with. So what was really one of the main factors that put her on the map? What changed everything for her and her entire career? Well, her belly. That's right. And I wish I was making this up. I'm talking about her belly, her stomach, her abdomen. She would periodically post pictures of it on Twitter, and she would gain tens of thousands of likes. Like for example, I remember this one because I saw it on my feed. It had the caption of whatever.
Get that out of here.
Literally just her abdomen. Here's the high res. I mean, it's nothing special, right? So why did this post in particular gain 15,000 likes? Well, because she's a VTuber. I wish I was kidding. At this point, one could call this a kink, and the Twitter algorithm rewards it heavily. Like recently, I saw a picture of cleavage on my feed. It had over 20,000 likes. I was like, what makes this cleavage so fucking interesting? I went to that person's profile, and I saw they had 200 followers, but get this, they had a VTuber profile picture. That's right. The appeal that someone who is anonymous, that is too shy to show their face, is sharing skin. Elfin loved the attention this brought her. So as I said, she would post this periodically, and every time she would gain so much attention on her profile. It's insane. But it doesn't simply end here. After the horny guys would follow her because she has a nice looking belly, they'd start seeing her other tweets, her girl failure tweets, where she would say things like, I'm 20, I've never had a boyfriend, I'm a virgin, I've never kissed, fucked, or anything before. I hate myself so much, this is such a terrible situation. Look at this post, for example. Legit just gooned, and it looked exactly like this. I'm fucking literally hurt. I stink right now. I'm gonna kill myself. I'm so upset. I wish I fucking had real life friends. I should be out hanging out at a bar right now. This post, posted on December 14th, 2024, would have over
she got so many issues.
85,000 likes, as well as 1,000 comments and 28,000 bookmarks. This is one of the most pathetic posts you can imagine, and there it is, going viral. She'd post something like this every single day. And it all goes back to the whole damsel in distress phenomenon that I was talking about earlier. She was a VTuber who only had male interests. She was edgy, racist, and seen as based by some people, and she had a nice looking belly, which makes people's imaginations run wild. They think if it looks that good, then her face must look amazing too, the rest of her body as well. But the cherry on top is that even though she's all these things, she also happens to be a girl failure. She's someone who hates her life. She has no friends, she lives alone in the UK as a student, and the cherry on top was that she was a virgin, guys. She was pure. A witch could use her tears to make a potion, and she was just waiting for the right guy to fix her and wife her up.
That would do it for most guys.
But even though this was all a very elaborate plan to begin with, she still managed to take it to a very worrying next level. And that would be when you would take the next step to join her Discord. Her Discord is exactly what you would expect. Elfin would spend a worrying amount of time on there. She was practically chronically online, and anyone could pretty much talk to her. Most conversations revolved around two things. The first one being about racism, and the second one being about her being a massive gooner. Here you can see someone saying, Elfin's been mostly quiet on the server today because she's embarrassed about how hard she was horny posting while drunk last night, to which Elfin replies, we're not talking about that. A viewer would say, you gonna call her a good girl, or is that just for you? Elfin would say, me. And an amazing example right here is someone saying, Elfin, do you choke yourself? And Elfin replying with, yeah. It was pretty much a server just to worship her and hope that she'll give you attention. Additionally, you'd see her say obscene things that she couldn't even post on Twitter. Like, for example, if I had to f*** a dog, it'd be a husky. I genuinely don't know like what to say about that, dude. Like, I genuinely...
Okay, she is beyond radical. This is just freaking sick, woman.
I mean, I'm speechless, but I wish things ended here. Elfin would take this parasocialism that she had built in her Discord server to a level that no other VTuber had ever taken it to, especially if they were the same size and influence. During her career, she would post over 11 different audios of her literally gooning with a vibrator. And get this, she would like post them in a private channel with her top donators or whatever. No. She would post it in general, in the channel that anyone who joins the server has access to. Now look, I'd love for you to listen to this clip in particular because it is so ridiculous, but you can literally hear a vibrator in the background, okay? So instead, I'll reenact the first 10 seconds for you because it is one of the most bizarre things I've ever heard in my entire life, and I mean that. She goes, in the most like lolly voice possible. Then she says, if there's any Slavic guy out there that wants to marry me and kill N-words hard R, I want to murder all N-words hard R. And I'm telling you, during the whole thing, you can hear a vibrator going bzzz in the background. Like, bro, what are we doing here? Like, what is
Bruh.
my life? What the fuck is this? That already tells you a lot about who this person is, right? And of course, if you were to confront her about this, she'd say, oh, I don't remember. I was drunk. I'm an alcoholic. It's my entire personality. And now you might be making the mistake of thinking, Mugen, all right, I get it. I get why she had so many followers and I get why she made so much money. And I mean, buddy, did you really think I was going to let you go that easily? No, because now the fun begins. What do you do when you have an army of 100,000 military-aged men who willingly castrated their balls to worship you? Well, you start reaching deep into their pockets by suicide baiting. Tweets like this wouldn't be an uncommon find with Elfin, saying things like, genuinely want to kill myself, man. Or how about this post on her Discord saying, I just got charged like $1,800 about as tax. I'm literally exempt from paying that. Since she's a student in the UK, they just plainly took my money for my tuition and I have to pay rent soon like a year's worth. I'm gonna actually fucking kill myself. She would then talk about how depressed she is and unmotivated and oh my god, I need to earn rent. Even though, as you might guess, none of this was actually true. She'd keep this lie going on other platforms too, saying, I'm getting kicked out my apartment soon if I don't pay for a whole year up front. Time to find a new house or go homeless, I guess. Streaming from under a bridge. Fuck. She'd have 101 replies, all begging to help and wishing her the best and being worried about her. Or
sounds like a scammer.
Get this. She'd say, does anyone want to buy my blanket? I used to hump every day for money. I need money for rent. Thanks. Now look.
Bruh.
Most people, if they tweet something like this, they'd be laughed at. Maybe people will think, oh, they're just joking. As I had mentioned already, Elfin had an army of 100,000 men who castrated themselves just to worship her. So what do you think actually happened? She got offers. Someone would say, actual? Question mark? Offer? Question mark? Elfin would reply with $1,000 runes, to which someone would say, PayPal or Venmo. She had these guys wrapped around her finger, and she knew that. She'd somehow always end up being short on money no matter how much people donated, and at some point would even open commissions. Yeah, well, it turned out that her commissions were her just finding a Japanese artist, stealing their art, and then adding small modifications and making it her own. But her fans didn't care. Listen, she was a girl failure, she wasn't perfect, yes, she did some weird things, but don't worry, they'll be the one to fix her.
Of course not.
So chill. Elfin had essentially done what no other edgy VTuber could have ever hoped to achieve. She said some of the most vile, racist shit known to mankind, all while having a massive army of simps supporting her. God, I mean, she must have felt invincible, like she could do anything, like she was untouchable, and to be honest, she was. But that was, of course, until her entire world crumbled right before her very eyes, all due to someone she thought she could trust.
Behavior like this always ends bad. Karma.
On December 4th, 2024, I'd release a video titled How This Entitled VTuber Lost Her Career Overnight. It would talk about Gunpei, an extremely edgy VTuber that had 1/10 of the audience Elfin Psyop has. You see, someone made a fan-made plushie of her and wanted to sell it. She had a complete crash out and started being racist towards them. The entire VTuber community rallied against her, and instead of apologizing, she doubled, tripled, then quadrupled down. It was very embarrassing and humiliating just for about anyone who had self-awareness. Now, after my video would come out, some people would take it upon themselves to investigate her further. What they'd end up finding is a very, and I mean very, parasocial community. You couldn't even join her Discord server if there was any doubt that you were a woman. Gunpei would immediately ban you and say that she doesn't want any other man in her server to give attention to any other woman but herself. She essentially acted as everyone's girlfriend, but it went way beyond that. If you sent her a picture of your sausage, yes, your straight up genitalia in DMs, instead of blocking you like 99.99% of women, she would instead give it a rating. She'd compliment it. She'd write a paragraph about it. Yeah, trust me, I was shocked too. Anyone could essentially DM her anything.
What the heck?
She was chronically online in her Discord. This is how she was able to get so many different gifts and so much money from her community. I know this already sounded familiar to you when it came to Elfin, but it went deeper than that. Gunpei had another account by the name of Zuba. She used to post normal things on there, but then one day posted an image of her in a bikini, specifically showcasing, yeah, you guessed it, her belly. That tweet would get over 25,000 likes. And that
Oh my God! Wow!
That's when she would decide to make a VTuber, knowing she can take full advantage of that. And she did. She was practically invincible. That whole backlash about her being racist, my video coming out, nothing affected her at all. But her career still somehow ended. You know why? Well, it turned out she had a boyfriend. When you tell your community that you're their collective girlfriend, and it turns out you had a boyfriend behind the scenes, you lose all your fans. It's just that simple. When this was revealed, she would scrub her YouTube channel, delete her Discord server, and deactivate her Twitter account. She would briefly reactivate it later and sell her entire model and assets for around $2,200. It would somehow get bought by a viewer of mine. I hope he's enjoying the model.
What a joke.
It wasn't her racism. It wasn't her weird attitude. It wasn't her being an unlikable person that canceled her. It was simply her having a...
There's a Harbor Freight store in your neighborhood where we sell hardworking tools that always work with any
boyfriend. When you're parasocial, you're invincible unless you're lying to your community. That's the one taboo rule you can't break. What's really funny is that she would go as far as trying to reinvent herself, creating a new VTuber identity in May of 2025. And in just the span of like a couple of months, people would discover that there was a lot of similarities between Gunpei and this new Mirio Maki. On July 8th, she would post an explanation apologizing for her past behavior, and she hasn't posted or streamed since then. Now, you would think that since her and Elfin shared so many similarities, back when her controversy was happening, Elfin would have maybe came in and defended her. I mean, Gunpei wasn't even saying half the edgy shit that Elfin said on her feed, right? So, come on. Surprisingly, though, okay, it's not really a surprise, Elfin would join the dogpiling, saying, "Oh my God, my based racist Chuba, ooh, it's only funny when they say unintentionally and not in an active effort to harm/insult someone. When did we lose sight of what's actually funny?" So look, this tweet makes absolutely zero fucking sense, okay? This is just Elfin being the typical pick-me, seeing that someone's being hated and trying to profit off of it. How? Well, it's simple. Gunpei had a lot of parasocial fans.
You're not funny,
Elfin
girl.
clearly wanted some to come to her community instead. But above all, she wanted you to know that she wasn't a grifter, okay? She was a real girl failure. She was somehow taking the moral high ground. I'm not fake like you, okay? I'm authentic. I'm as real as it gets, and I know what I'm doing. And that's the attitude she always took when she saw someone doing something similar to her and getting canceled or getting into trouble. What's deeply ironic here, though, okay, is that barely a few months after she was taking this moral high ground on Gunpei, someone would come out with a 51-page Google Doc about her on April 18th, 2025. His name was Average Bird Enjoyer. And this was significant because he was watching her from the beginning back in 2024, and he was one of her lead mods. He was always there for her, as well as always in her chat. I mean, look at this. On a scheduled stream on YouTube, there was a pinned message saying, "Elf is currently dead asleep. Potentially no stream today. We'll move to tomorrow if that's the case.
The truth is coming out,
She was
guys.
doing some sort of a donathon. It's kind of like a subathon, but it involves direct money. You'd hear some sort of a Discord ring on the stream, and average bird enjoyer would come in and say, "That was me calling her to see if she'd wake up, lol." So this was someone who, as far as the community was concerned, was close to her. In fact, the guy wasn't just close, okay? He was borderline insane. At some point, Elfin would be streaming, and she had a donation goal for PC funds set at $100.
Exposed.
The average bird enjoyer would come in and donate, in one payment, $10,000. Probably, and most likely, because he thought he could be the one to fix her. But here's
NANI?! NANI?!
the deal. He wasn't the only one. The document that Average Bird Enjoyer wrote was 51 pages long, and it involved 6 people total, including himself. But are we actually going to bother diving deep into this mess? Hell no. Honestly, it's so pathetic, it's not even worth doing that. I'll just sum it up for you. In a nutshell, Average Bird Enjoyer had spent over $50,000 on Elfin in the span of like less than a year. Listen, I have to specify this. He found her when she had less than 500 followers, probably 50 viewers. She was not a big streamer by any means.
Holy
but
cow.
Average Bird Enjoyer went all out thinking that he'll be able to like be Elfin's partner, okay? That they're gonna date. He thought they were exclusive to begin with. He sent her $10,000 on that stream. He hired her an editor. He got her a manager. He was willing to pay for her new VTuber model. They met up IRL and he took her to multiple Michelin star restaurants. Dude blew a apartment's down payment on this girl failure. But he was the only guy who actually had to spend this much money. The other 5 guys spent almost nothing. And they got the same treatment that he got.
SimCity.
What was that treatment, you might ask? Well, other than meeting up with her IRL and doing stuff, yeah, she's not a virgin. I mean, who could have ever guessed that? It all would start with them messaging her, being in her Discord, right? Messaging her, and her reciprocating. She would then get in calls with them, okay? Listen, she would then get in calls with them. And as they were talking, right, they could be talking about their day, a game they're playing, whatever, she would start to flick her f***ing bean, bro. She would start gooning right then and there to their voice. No warning, no nothing, dude. And then after she'd be done, she'd send them explicit pictures. These guys would, of course, be shocked. What the hell is happening, dude? And then the next day when they'd ask her about it, she'd say, "Oh, I don't remember anything. I was severely drunk. Please delete all my pictures." However, she'd keep doing it over and over and over. And each of these guys thought that she was being exclusive just with them when she was doing this with 6 people at the same thing. And as I said, she'd meet up with them, she'd do things with them, God knows what. But overall, she wasn't this pure virgin girl failure she was making herself out to be. That's pretty much the 51 pages in a nutshell. It also involved incredible DMs like this, with Elfin saying, "Bird eat you, bird eat you.
Virgin my butt.
My puffy, it'll make me fub. Cun, teal it faster. Winku, you know, I'm gins what's good do." Average Bird Enjoyer would then say, translated, Elfin telling me if I touched her pussy, she'd come real fast.
Everybody, Peach here, and today we're going to take a look at the Spedient's Gym Monster 2, which is an all...
What am I doing with my life? Anyway, when this document came out, Elfin was furious. She was watching her entire world crumble around her. She saw what happened with Gunpei and did not want the same to happen to her. She had been parasocial her entire career. Her entire Discord was obsessed with her. She can't have this leak. And yet it did. So she would tweet this out almost immediately, saying, "I see shit like this and know for a fact that these people barely do any research and just love sex.
Oh, it's going to
I had
happen,
phone sex for a
girl."
couple of days or weeks with some guys." Okay, wait, hold the phone. Days or weeks? That's a huge range. Anyway, I told all of them day one I was not into dating, and they agreed with me. Most of them don't even care about the situation. They went out of their way to message me just to say how stupid this drama was. Only Bird and another person who repeatedly tried to threaten and dox me were emotional homosexuals. Bird not only went around trying to poison my community, he actively shared information about me to other server members in an attempt to make them join his side. He went to all my mods and all my close friends in the server. People saying, "Oh my god, there's no evidence of Bird being a bad guy." First of all, 51-page expose about someone you apparently cared about as a friend, his words, if you really wanted to help me to stop my pattern of behavior, you could discuss it with me like everything else. Just to cut her off here, something else that was mentioned in those 15 pages was how when every single one of these guys found out what she was doing and confronted her, she would lash out. She'd get very angry and she wouldn't want to listen to a single thing they had to say, especially when they had something to say about alcohol, okay? Anyway, let's continue. But no, I only talked to Bird that way for a month. I crave validation from men. I admit I wanted compliments and I wanted attention, but he acted as if he was my dad. His friend would try to wingman and tell me I should meet Bird and just leave him. He could make my life so much better, and I straight up told him I wasn't into Bird. I have screenshots and evidence. Also, when I first started streaming and Bird came along, I was 19 at the time, extremely new to VTubing and having this much attention. He taught me everything about VTubing and keeping me in a bubble. She would then talk about the point of women not taking accountability, saying, "Motherfucker, all I've done is say I'm not a victim. I keep fucking saying I was wrong too. Why are you just ignoring this? Oh my god, she cheated. On who? I was dating no one at the time. I never dated any of them, and I have screenshots of some of the guys saying they knew what it was. It was not dating. We had phones gooning on call." She would then make another tweet, quoting something that many people were saying, "Oh my god, these poor lonely men," while she replied, "While they're 25 plus adults. If a 19-year-old has to be held accountable for whatever she's done, you can't possibly in good faith ignore the horrible shit these men do just cause lonely. I literally live alone and talk to a total of 0 people IRL. I'm fucking lonely." And look at this very sad image she posted. Oh my god, it's her crying. But guys, don't worry, as she said in her own words, she is not acting like a victim. But look, to be completely impartial here, these guys were really weird, especially Average Bird and Joyer. Look, if you go and donate $10,000 in cash right now to a top streamer, they'll fucking block you because they know that you can't be donating this much money without ulterior motives. This document was made on purpose to destroy her career, isolate her, and further take advantage of her by manipulating her as she was all alone, okay? The document will also reveal that she's always been known as being a certain person on 4chan, someone who has had a history of sending nudes and being explicit. They'd even go as far as saying that while she was talking to these 6 different guys, she had an IRL boyfriend. It was an attempt at totally annihilating her entire reputation. At the same time, though, she refused to take any accountability.
So now she is the victim? Give me a freaking break. You're no victim. Be a grown woman for once and take accountability.
She'd say that she was groomed. Brother, you were 19, and you had continued by that point posting gooning audios on your general chat in Discord. What do you think this is? The objective conclusion to this entire drama was that everyone in this sucked ass. But no, Elfin wanted to be seen as the victim. And even though normally she should have had her career destroyed by this point, she should have been completely abandoned by her community, the opposite ended up happening. She again had defied all odds, and let me show you exactly why. Rima Evenstar is a VTuber who makes some very detailed video essays about the VTuber community. A couple months after this document had dropped, she would release the video titled "She Played Her Fanbase Like a Dating Sim, The Elfin Psyop Situation," garnering over 100,000 views. In this video, she would constantly be referring to Elfin as a menhera, a term for a character who is emotionally unstable and in poor mental health. They are very emotionally fragile and experience extreme mental ups and downs and mood swings which can make them a bit difficult to be around. They may have an unhealthy dependence on love or their partner, be a troublesome person who displays unexpected aggression and tries to dominate others, be easily hurt by the smallest of words, or have suicidal thoughts and think the world would be better off without them. And man, I don't know about you, but this perfectly describes Elfin Psyop so far, right?
Freaking nuts, pal.
Outraged. She despised that video and hated Rima to the point where she added her on Twitter and said, "Rima Evenstar, I don't know why you like to spread genuinely dog shit and simply false rhetoric so easily. Maybe it's because you're a drama VTuber by name, but it's just bullshit to spread false things without confirmation. Firstly, when you made the drama video on me, you got a lot of facts wrong and didn't contact me to confirm details either. Nice journalism. Now you're spreading shit about me suicide bait?
Drama queens.
I'm sorry, what? I think you making a drama video on me during a time I was constantly drunk and not in a stable mental state would obviously fuck me up. Like you call me Menhera all the time and don't expect me to somehow crash out? I was still relatively civil and only DM'd you about my issues with your video hoping to at least get facts straight. Believing in random people messaging you rather than the person at the center of the situation is crazy. You do not hate journalists enough. In fact, this got so bad that when Rima posted the tweet announcing the video,
parents of children who play Roblox. If your child was sexually exploited, abused,
it would get totally brigaded by Elfin's community. 102 replies, and all of them filled with insults, slurs, and an attempt to straight up character assassinate Rima, saying, "Wow, I used to watch your content, but not anymore. Wow, you're a terrible journalist. Wow, you suck at what you do," etc., etc. That's simply because Elfin had replied to this post and ratioed Rima, doubling her likes, simply saying that she is not a femcel. But this still doesn't explain how she was able to survive a Google Doc like this. This doesn't explain why she didn't end up like Gunpie. What happened exactly? Well, here's what her diehard fans had to say in response to her reply on Rima's post. And it perfectly encapsulates why she still had a very strong community that kept growing. Look at this idiot. "Hey, I'd just like to say that I'm naive and emotionally vulnerable and would be easily groomed. DM me sometime." What about this dumbass? "I'd be honored to be one of your toys. Crazy they're spinning it as a forced or bad thing, lol." So these men were so irrevocably castrated
What the heck,
that they
man?
realized, hey, I don't like this woman because she's a virgin. No. I like her because she's a girl failure and because she might give me a chance. If she did it with 6 different guys at the same time, what's stopping me from DMing her and finding her in a call gooning with me? If anything, Average Bird Enjoyer's Google document backfired tremendously. It made Elfin Psyop seem way more reachable to the average viewer than they thought. So their whole fantasy, or should I say delusion, of trying to fix her, wifing her up, impregnating her, and prolonging the white race wasn't so far off. By this point, Elfin kept gaining followers, kept getting viral tweets, her community kept growing, she was making more money, and her viewership was doing better than ever. She had reached over 100,000 followers, something very impressive, especially for a VTuber, and by this point we could easily say that she was becoming very dangerous, because in VTubing, there are so many desperate people trying to make a name for themselves that they'll see what works and try to copy it. And since things were going so well with Elfin, since she was totally invincible to any criticism or controversy, someone would end up noticing how well she was doing and try to copy her, even though they had way more followers and way more influence. Her and Elfin would end up becoming friends, and then eventually enemies. Riri Gaki is a French
Don't
rat
copy
VTuber
that
who used to stream
behavior.
exclusively in French. Around 2024, she would start streaming more in English, and at some point, one clip from her stream would go mega viral. It went so viral that there's actually a good chance you saw this already. Watch.
Says their name. So here is broccoli with fucking dumb. Look. No brain cell. No brain, nothing. After we have here Fruby, who is one of my cutest rats too. Look. She's a Rex girl. She got curly hair. She's really cute.
Yuck.
It's Bean. Bean is my only boy, but he don't have a cocoon yet.
Alright, so you get the point. French girl talking about her rats, very cute, very adorable. Yeah, well, it
Get it away from me!
384,000 likes on Instagram, and guys, when it came to Twitter, 12.7 million views, 134,000 likes. It was practically on everyone's feed, and everyone was talking about it. If you told someone, hey, did you see the French rat girl? They'd say, yes, I saw it on my feed. It went mega viral. I'm not understating this. She would then reply to this saying, hi, I'm Riri, a rat girl VTuber from France. You can follow me on Twitch or join my Discord if you want, link in bio, but be warned, I'm the most hated VTuber of all France. And guys, she was not kidding. When the French community saw her going viral, they were livid. They saw how viral she was going with the English-speaking community, and they did their best to show them who she truly was. This person, for example, would say, maybe because you're a lolicon and you think Hitler is cool and you're overly annoying, you force your voice to sound like a kid, your response to saying the N-word is I hate everyone equally, look at yourself stuttering in your own f***ass tweet. Okay, so very brief lore dump on this bitch because there's no information in English on her. She used to be known as Riri Meow, and her whole content revolved around porn. Still does, but it was worse then. She was retweeting lolliporn and had a Discord server with tons of minors, etc, etc. They'd also link some edgy tweets she made in the past, like top 5 reasons racism is bad, and then the next picture is thanks for watching, so implying that racism isn't bad. Here's the deal though. Riri's defense on Twitter would be, guys, French people doxed me. They sent police at my house. Yes, they swatted me. And they harassed me at IRL conventions. All for this, for my edgy jokes, for being a lolly. All of a sudden, French people looked evil, and it doesn't take much to convince someone that French people are evil, okay? The French would argue, well look, there's these videos on YouTube that expose her, go watch those things instead. Okay, cool. Here's a video titled, The Worst French Streamer, Riri Gaki, with over 448,000 views. Oh hey, here's another one, saying, The Worst French Streamer, Riri Meow, with over 245,000 views. I watched both of them in full, in the native language of French, and I can tell you right now, this is what they said in a nutshell. Number 1, she's edgy and she made Nazi jokes, okay? And number 2, she's a lolly. In fact, most of these 2 videos were criticizing her for being a lolly, that she was playing this childlike character, how she was speaking with a childlike voice, and how she was overall just cringe. But here's the deal. For the English-speaking community, this only proves one thing. French people, when it came to VTubing, were completely and utterly out of their depth. VTubing originated from Japan, and this whole lolicon culture originated from there too. For people who actually watched VTubers, it was totally normal.
Do you ever think that your life as a parent feels like a juggling act? With Purdue Global, the juggling act?
It doesn't matter if you think lolicons are weird, right? I mean, I think it's a very reasonable take to think that. But when your thumbnail is Riri Gaki with the word pedophile on top of it, you start losing a lot of people from your side. As time passed by, French people were seen as more and more unreasonable. This is not worth swatting over.
Very fast too.
Doxing over. You'd see pictures like this of a French person saying lolicon equals pedophile, with Riri Gaki quote tweeting saying, don't cry, I'm just a drawing. The typical drama you'd find in English-speaking communities too, and typically VTuber watchers would always defend someone like Riri, so they were totally out of their depth here. They'd keep trying to prove that she was problematic, showing her using GIFs saying, settle down, N-word hard R, and also showcasing how she had a role on her Discord called Rotten Waffen, a play on words on the Waffen SS, otherwise known as the Waffen
Stop,
a division in the German army during World War II. Their efforts, again, proved ineffective, and the final straw would be when they would show this image of Riri when she was streaming with Facecam, apparently doing the, German salute from World War II. Well, you even had Asmongold reacting to it, and he concluded, as well as others, that she was simply adjusting her webcam. Guys, you're trying way too hard to make her look bad. Come on. This was seen as so crazy in the English-speaking community that even Elfin went out of her way to defend her as she was being cancelled by French people. By this point, Riri Gaki was followed directly by Asmongold on Twitter, and she had the entire English-speaking community backing her up. She was treated horribly by the French community, but now she got given a second chance straight from the heavens. However, here's the problem. I don't know if it was the language barrier or just the fact that she's probably mentally ill, but Riri Gaki completely misunderstood what the second chance meant. She thought that she now could finally get away with anything. She could say anything, do anything, and she'd have a community here to back her up always. When in reality, this wasn't the case at all. What actually happened was that she got a second chance, got in a community, and they were hoping that French people were exaggerating. They were hoping that she was going to genuinely redeem herself. And as you might have guessed, this could not have been further from the truth. Shortly after getting this incredible second chance, she would increase the racist and edgy rhetoric by 1000%, all while adding that to a cancerous cocktail of politics. Some guy would say, French quote-unquote people, the fuck is wrong with your country, Jesus? To which Riri Gaki would say, immigrant and African. Here's another tweet with a lot of views and a lot of likes. Saw a Jew for the first time in my life yesterday. I always thought they were all extinct. Here's her comparing Nazis to trans people. I mean,
She is so lost. Nothing can save her.
With the only difference being the fact that one has impressive taste in clothing and the other one being promoted by the US government. She'd have a tweet saying, "Can I be called a white rat supremacist? I love white rat." And when Kanye West would say, "I'm a you know what," she would quote tweet this with an image of an anime girl raising her hand. So as I said, she completely misunderstood the very simple thing she had to do. Just keep talking about your rats, woman. Just keep being cute. But no, she had over 130,000 followers at this point, and she was taking a page right out of Elfin Psyop's playbook. Probably the worst thing you can do. But hey, it seemed like they were getting along very nicely. Ririgaki would say, "Can you teach me how to be cute, please?" And Elfin would reply with, but you're already so kawaii desu." It seemed like the 100,000 castrated men who followed Elfin just had another girl failure join the mix. And they were getting along. Not only did they increase their odds of maybe fixing another woman and marrying her too, but now maybe they could look forward to them collabing together, right?
Stuff like this can only get you so far until you lose everything. No stability.
Wait, oh my god, isn't that awesome? Well, I'm sure it would have been. But then, some people decided to dig into Ririgaki's past, when she used to be Riri Meow and produced adult content.
Customize and save with liberty.
Now look, let's get one thing straight. Riri never produced any explicit content. It was mostly centered around thighs and feet. And while yes, this was enough for people to call her a whore and all sorts of things, this is simply who she used to be. And for the most part, I mean, people loved it. Oh my god, a girl failure and making stuff like this? It's like Elfin posting her tummy. What else do you want? But as these castrated guys were looking through her different images, they noticed something interesting, particularly in one image set of 3 images. You see, she'd have a photo set where she wore non-matching thigh highs. Everything looked normal, right on this picture, on the other picture, until you got to the 3rd picture, in which we can very clearly see a black guy's hand grabbing her left thigh. Now look, normally this wouldn't be an issue. I would hope that it's never an issue. But saying that Ririgaki would tweet out every other day how France
This got to be fake,
ruled by
right?
immigrants, and more specifically Africans.
No, 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 no. Wait. Wait.
Her new, let's say, community wasn't too happy about this. In fact, they were furious. It seemed like no matter how much Ririgaki disliked African immigrants, she still couldn't resist the BBC. I mean, this is just so funny to me. It was treated like this leak, this thing that no one could have ever predicted, when in reality, on her own wiki page, you can see that in 2023, she made some guy called Euro, who happened to be a VTuber, her boyfriend. And when you checked out his model, his model was black. But no, it was a betrayal. How dare she?
And here we go.
And she suffered the wrath of her own community. She had pretty much stabbed herself with a knife she forged herself. It was official. She was a grifter. Someone who didn't believe in anything she was saying and was only doing it purely for her own benefit. Someone would say, if you can't see the grift in tweeting racist shit, then
it was all an
racism
act,
hating
guys.
immigrants, then I don't know what to tell you. To which she would say, bro thinks all French people are all white like snow, lol, we have an island. Actually, the French have multiple islands, like Corsica, Guadeloupe, République, but this didn't matter at all in the grand scheme of things. As she was getting attacked pretty much daily at this point, with her own community turning against her, she would try to quell the flames by becoming even more edgy somehow, and saying, next cosplay I'm doing, Lolly Hitler. This would prove to be nothing more than a pathetic attempt at recovering the community that was turning on her, because very shortly afterwards, she would get suspended by mass reporters who just so happened to be people who were pissed that she was dating a black guy. And the cherry on top would be her also getting suspended from Twitch. In her own Discord, she'd say, hi, I got banned from Twitter and Twitch again because of a big campaign of harassment and cancel culture. I did a tweet on my alt account if you want to RT, I don't know what. I'm tired. I really hope to die. Here we go with the baiting again.
sounds like a heel turn.
I don't know, I don't want to let my haters win, but I'm really too tired. 4 years of all this is too much. You can follow my new account if you want, linking her Clips account and saying, I don't know if I'll be back one day, I'm really tired. She would then post a statement on that account saying, if you didn't see it, my main account was mass reported from Twitter haters because some of them believe that I'm a Nazi and the others are mad that I'm not racist. I love it. Seeing people this mad and obsessed by a little rat girl proves to me that I'm really the only person here. You are part of the problem if you think that everybody I don't like is Hitler, being racist is good, or VTuber shouldn't have a boyfriend. I'm going to take a little break from Twitter while waiting for my appeal to be accepted. Thank you all for the support. I love you a lot. I have an incredible community and lots of kind people who support me. I'm never going to kneel down in front of horrible humans, and I'm never going to let them cancel me. Cancel culture is dead and exists only for insecure people. I'm still going to stream on Twitch and YouTube and be active on Instagram and Discord. Your support means the world to me. Keep making extremist people pissed off and laugh at them. We are stronger than hate. And remember, vive la résistance. Rats live matter and are stronger than evil humans. Signed, Riri. So look, in the end, this was a desperate attempt at trying to recoup a community that hated her guts at this point. After getting that incredible second chance with a mega viral clip, she spent all that time nurturing a racist community. People who disliked immigrants and minorities, and it turned out she had a black boyfriend. Her initial haters felt vindicated and her own community now turned on her. You couldn't really feel sorry for her, right? But throughout all this, her friend, Elfin, who was also another girl failure like her, and who had initially defended her when the French people were attacking her, what did she have to say?
And it all came out,
Would
guys.
she show up for her?
The
Defend her,
truth
help
shall
her,
set
like a
you
real
free.
friend would? Nope. She would also turn on her, because the girl failures would have a falling out that would make its way to the public battlefield.
Meet Max Out. He's a credit wrecker. He doesn't know that using his full line of credit can lower his...
So as I said before, Elfin was someone who had defended Riri initially when she was getting the backlash after going mega viral. They would have some positive interactions here and there, but shortly after Average Bird Enjoyer's document would drop on Elfin, Riri Gaki would say, "Is this Gunpei 2.0? Someone would reply saying, "Please, rat girl, you're my last hope for a based petite girl failure indie VTuber. Don't e-date fans unless it's me, LMAO. God, I can puke in my fucking mouth." To which she would say, "I'm not gonna e-date a fan. I have a boyfriend and I'm just a pet rat for you." So this was essentially Riri Gaki trying to capitalize on the fact that Elfin was potentially going to lose her career because of this document. She was taking the moral high ground, trying to steal any viewers she can from Elfin because she was trying to become her. This is when Elfin would start to subtweet her, not calling her directly just yet, saying the amount of e-holes rebranding to be girl failures, please bro, you do porn. You sell literal porn of yourself. Just go be some slutty cat girl or something. This is of course referring to Riri Gaki, how in the past she had a fansly and how now she rebranded as being a girl failure. When it came to her parasocial Discord though, she was way more straightforward. Someone would say Riri is nice though, to which she would reply, "I can't say this in good conscience when she blatantly called me Gunpei when my controversy happened. I can't forget that shit, lol." How dare she call me Gunpei when I'm way worse than her? Like, how dare she when I'm literally worse than her in every way? The main confrontation between these two girl failures would occur when Elfin would post this tweet, with her character saying, "Hey guys," someone saying "femcel," to which her character would say, "Not what I'm called." Shortly afterwards, Riri Gaki would also use that same exact meme format, saying "Hey guys," with someone saying "Not me," to which Riri would say "Not what I'm called." Elfin at this point would be furious. How dare she copy me? So she would quote tweet this and say, "You guys are all over her. How can she be a Nazi when she has a black boyfriend? Y'all need to do research." This was Elfin declaring war. She saw that her community was turning on her because she had a black boyfriend, so she was also looking to capitalize. However, Elfin was about to fight a war on two fronts. She was going up against Riri Gaki, while at the same time having a demon from her past catch up to her, 4chan. You see, she was an active 4chan user ever since she was a young kid. Yes, I know, what a terrible fate. And 4chan would catch on to her. They'd understand exactly who she used to be and would start revealing some details about her real identity. The fact that she is a Pakistani who's studying in the UK. Now look, this was a very big deal, okay? Elfin Psyop's entire personality was centered around appealing to the cringe white supremacist who never leaves his home. She would also heavily imply, as you saw in her belly pics that she shared online, she seemed white, and that's exactly what she was selling to her audience, the fact that she's white.
Crap.
And even
time to get exposed some more.
At some point she would say, I say niet a lot, which means no, and people ask me if I'm Slavic on stream. I'm not, I'm just a huge Russia boo. So she posted pictures of her belly and she seemed white. She also was really into Russian culture, I guess, and Russian language. So people assumed she was maybe Eastern European. In fact, her accent sounded pretty American. Some people would think she's American and she would never really correct them. So seeing that she despised immigrants and any minorities for that matter, her being Pakistani would be a death sentence. But this rumor wasn't new. It was being shared on 4chan as early as mid-2024. It would start to really catch up to her and irritate her in 2025 though, specifically during the summer. This is when, for the first time, she would start being confronted live on stream by chatters who were asking her, are you really Pakistani? And she would get very triggered at that. Watch.
Pretending to be white? I don't think I need to pretend. I think I am.
Here's another clip.
Pakis aren't white. You are so retarded, dude. That's actually insane. Do you realize how ethnicities work? Do you realize how ethnicities work?
Insane.
Or maybe you don't. Genuine question. Aren't you a Paki living in the UK? Who are you to complain? Did you get that from 4chan?
So here we are. She was starting to realize where these people were getting their information from. Wait, did you get this from 4chan? The website that she kept flexing that she had used ever since she was 13? Interesting. By early 2025, many pictures of Elfin's face would somehow find themselves on the internet. So she'd tweet out, in May 2025, I've been face doxed and harassed so much now, so here, this is me. Yup, now what? LMFAO, it don't even matter, man, no more. Now this image is actually very important. It would of course get deleted later. She would draw some clown makeup on her face in Microsoft Paint, right? I can tell you right now, this clown nose is doing a lot of heavy lifting because it would have very easily exposed her ethnicity. Additionally, it doesn't take a genius to understand that this image is blown the fuck out. Look at that hand.
Oh my,
it's blinding. Almost as if she completely upped the levels in Photoshop in an effort to appear white. Something would really crack in Elfin starting summer 2025, okay? This is when she would up the edginess to yet a new level. And so whenever someone criticized her or called her a Pakistani or said that they had proof, she would just call them a Jew, and it would work because her community hated Jews. This would work almost every single time. They'd eat it up. They would love it, and she would get away with it. However, as her rivalry with Ririgaki would start really heating up, Ririgaki would say this: I love how she was trying to cancel me saying I was dating an immigrant, black /
Talk
Indian
about
/
defending
Arabic,
yourself,
while
man.
pretending to be white, lol. To which Elfin would say, why are you so obsessed with me, man? Now it's getting serious. Look, Ririgaki, as much as she was hated for dating a black guy, she still held influence in the whole girl failure aesthetic club. She shared many followers in common with Elfin, this 100,000 bundle of castrated men, and so her saying what many have been saying already was a genuine threat. This drama started really heating up around November 2025, to which Ririgaki would say, please stop thinking of me as a girl failure, guys, it's exhausting. I did learn to take care of me. I go outside a lot now. I have a lot of passion and love for nature and cool subjects like aircraft or insects. I really like myself and take care of me. I did reduce my alcohol drinking to 0. I'm fucking proud to be alive and my depression is going away. Please understand that and stop seeing me as a 4chan weirdo or a girl who is mentally
Aw, I'm a changed person now. Aw.
ill and drama post / talk about political toxic subjects, obsessed with skin color or not jokes. It makes me really sad. I'm getting better and becoming a cool person now that my life is comfy. Yes, I like edgy humor and I don't care about humans or minorities, but I'm a responsible adult, not a failure or anything else. I'm just Riri. Someone would reply with, that's literally the audience you wanted and even commissioned yourself as a Nazi or girl failure, a loser. Did the elfin grift not work? To which Riri would say, yeah, Nazi uniform are really pretty. It's like talking to a wall. This tweet was definitely very interesting and a bit out of touch. I mean, what have you been doing the past year? She's practically begging everyone to stop
when you
thinking
fake
of her
it
as a girl
all
failure when she only had herself to blame. She was the one who was intentionally acting that way. Elfin would quote tweet that tweet and say, "I'm so fucking confused about this woman, I swear. Wasn't OnlyFans catgirl VTuber. Starts following me, completely changes design to look like mine. Suddenly became an..."
When you have everything you need to get stronger, just around the corner,
an alcoholic, quote unquote, starts copying my tweets 1-to-1. This is not an exaggeration, by the way, okay? The tweets would be very, very similar. Before discovering Elfin, Riri literally had no idea what gooning meant. And there she was all of a sudden, every couple of days, tweeting, "Yeah, I need to goon. I need to go goon. I goon too much." This was literally Elfin's entire personality, and there she was, emulating it perfectly. Elfin would continue, I DM her about it, say I'm uncomfortable about it. She says, "Oh my god, sorry, you're my biggest inspiration." We make amends and move on. I support her when she gets into a big drama. When I get into drama, calls me Gunpei 2.0 instead of DMing me and asking me what's up. So-called friend, am I right? I get pissed at this and stop talking to her. Copies me further, almost all my jokes, all my edgy humor, "Oh my god guys, I'm so gross and gooner and girl failure and edgy," and posts not shit constantly. Where did all this suddenly come from, bro? A few months pass, now she says, "Oh my god, I'm healthy, I don't drink anymore, and I go outside, I'm not a naughty guys." Basically, we should forget the past few months happened entirely? Literally attacks me out of nowhere, saying I accused her for having a black boyfriend. I don't care about your boyfriend's race, man. I don't care about you, dude. Can you leave me alone and maybe try to be more creative? You don't get pity points because people attack you online. You literally did it to yourself. I'm edgy and I know people will dislike me for it. I've been like this since day one. You started being like this after following me. Please learn to be yourself and stop attacking people for no reason. Thanks. So look, Elfin was definitely making some good points here. Yes, it is true. Riri
Well, you started it all, girl.
After following her, that's a fact. It seemed like Ririgaki's intent from the get-go was stealing as many viewers as she could from her, and when she saw that Elfin was potentially going to lose her career, she didn't try to defend her. She tried to make her move and call her Gunpei 2.0. However, it's not like Elfin wasn't doing the exact same thing. Look at this sentence near the end. "I'm edgy and I know people will dislike me for it. I've been like this since day one." Again, this whole idea that, guys, I'm real. I'm authentic. In fact, Elfin would go as far as saying on her stream that Ririgaki was a very rare example of a true grifter. In her opinion, the word is overused. Not everyone's a grifter, but Riri was. This was her implying, of course, that she was a real girl failure. She was actually proudly alcoholic. Everything about her was totally authentic. And hey, to be fair, it worked. After Elfin would make her post about Riri, someone would confront Riri asking her, "Yo, what's up? Like, what happened with Elfin?" Here's what she'd say in her Discord. "She tried a lot in the past to get me canceled on Twitter and can't stop talking about how I stole her identity because I have a similar humor, /black hair, /loves alcohol, /depressed."
She vanished into the moon.
Your entire personality and being mad that someone stole it. Dude, who are these people? Anyway, she would continue, "Cannot stand her. I did try to be her friend, but cannot stand girls sending nudes to 6 persons at the same time while trying to proclaim that she doesn't have a boyfriend, is white, and is not a whore all the time because she doesn't want to lose her community. She is not honest and she is just another gimmick like she says." Now, to be fair, even Riri had made good points here, right? But it's like, both of these people are so unlikable, you don't really care about taking sides, do you? However, even with all that being said, the next day, Riri would make yet another post on her Twitter. Her alt account, of course, because her main one got permanently suspended. Her appeal failed. She'd say, "I would like to apologize for all the people following me because I was looking and acting like a based, edgy girl failure. I know the drastic change of me getting mentally better and stopping to act like a loser can be deceiving for a lot of you, and I understand if you stop following me, but I cannot keep going like that. Sorry for looking fake. I never lied about my depression or my daily difficulty like my alcohol consummation." I don't think she even bothered translating this, bro. Consommation, that's literally a French word, but yeah, her alcohol consumption. Secondly, "I would like to apologize to @Elfin Saya. I have her blocked because I don't want toxicity in my feed and don't appreciate her as a person, but I feel like it's still important to
Yeah, just move on now.
I felt Elfin's content was at my lowest after all the harassment from the French community, and instead of being a better person or learning to love myself, I ended up stealing and copying some of her gimmick, like she called it. This is not correct and not what a content creator should do. I did tweet like her and used to do the same content on Twitter as her to be accepted and seen by people having cool humor, things that do not exist in France, but I'm not proud of that, and I would like to have learned sooner that I should just be myself instead of wanting some attention on the internet while copying somebody's gimmick. I'm sorry, Elfin, for all of that, and for not talking gently about you publicly after having your help. I hope one day you have the chance to get better and go away from all the toxicity that Twitter and other social media are spreading. I understand that you see me as a LARPer or a grifter, but my political beliefs were never fake. I live in a dangerous country because of immigration and multiple other things. I just ended up basing my content only on that and edgy jokes to pander to these types of people when I'm in fact just a normal autistic woman who just want to share her hobbies. I'm not gonna lie, but I see myself as a LARPer.
Man, this is a long apology. Jeez. Jeez.
Boyfriend controversy. I know a lot of my past fans were following me because of all this LARPing. I understand your sadness when you learn about the VTuber that you considered as based having what you thought was a black immigrant boyfriend. I don't like saying that, but dating an immigrant or a black male is not something I would be able to do. I did date for 2 years in the past a brown/tan French male. This always was public since I was always streaming with him. Guys, don't worry, he wasn't black, he was just brown. Like, dude. After all this LARPing, I think this is normal, and my own fault I ended up in a situation where I get harassed by my old fan base. Sadly, you were just following me for the based girl failure thing, and not even to look after my content or stream since you did not know about my ex-boyfriend. This makes me really sad that all this love was fake, but this is again my own fault for acting like that. I'm deeply thankful to all the rat bros believing in me and understanding my word. You are the reason why today I can be this better person. Thanks to all the people who still love me and not just my toxic past, I love you. So first off, I just want to point out how she was talking about this like it happened in the past. Bro, this literally happened like 2 months ago. You know, like there was barely any time between the old account and the new account. But hey, you know what? A surprising amount of self-awareness in this post. She pretty much admitted she was a LARPer. That's because she was. She was a LARPer and she was a grifter. Pretty much the same thing. But of course, this post wouldn't even get half the engagement she used to get when she would say, BRB going to my room to goon. But hey, it seems like some people stuck around for the rats and whatever.
However you book your hotel, first check Kayak to see what lots of people say about where you're planning to stay. Then do what people do.
Most people who followed her for being a girl failure already left anyway when they found out she had a black boyfriend. Elfin would yet again make another post after this one, this time saying, I don't own the girl failure aesthetic, okay? It didn't matter to me as much when Riri was outright copying my tweets, word for word, just twisted to look more French. That made me feel weird. Any joke I made or content idea was being copied. I felt like I couldn't do anything original anymore.
Boyfriends ruin it all, I guess.
Yes, we know that, Elfin. You're not like the other girls, right? To be fair, a lot of people here thinking we used to be friends aren't exactly wrong. I genuinely thought we made up and were good friends until I found out how she talks about me.
Of course she is not.
I genuinely tried, man. Anyone that knows me knows that I'm super mean usually, and she was kind back and said I was her biggest inspiration. I've dealt with mean girls all of my high school, man. I've had many bullies and fake friends. To me, this greatly resembled the fake friend trope. So I don't like this defamation of Elfin is so toxic. I only copied her because I'm autistic and just want to make content. I'm sorry if you go through stuff, but you're an adult actively making choices every day. You had the choice to just be friendly with me. She would then congratulate Riri on being less depressed and getting rid of alcohol, and end this by saying, but please, if you truly were someone who understood what it's like to be someone who had a problem with those things, stop shitting on me for being a girl failure alcoholic now that you're better. Trust me, I don't choose to feel depressed all the time. So again, you know, I'm a victim, guys. I've been bullied all my life. You know, I'm a girl failure. I'm a real girl failure, okay? Stop pretending that you are real. Trust me, I don't choose to feel depressed all the time, okay? I'm authentic. But my favorite part is when she says, I'm sorry if you go through stuff, but you're an adult actively making choices every day. Because that's literally what people were telling Elfin when she got exposed as having
I am different.
6 guys at the same time. Look, overall, this was nothing more than 2 very disliked monkeys fighting. But if we step back and looked at the bigger picture, this situation would go from a clown show to something very alarming. As you saw, Elfin was practically invincible. Riri took heavy inspiration from her seeing how much success she was finding as being a girl failure, and even though she had more followers and had way more virality, she still proceeded to copy her directly. Elfin was starting to become not just a danger to herself or to her fans, but to everyone in the VTubing community as a whole. Being a girl failure should never be something that's encouraged. It's not a good thing. It's not meant to be a good thing.
Copy,
Yet her success
copy,
was encouraging
copy.
others to follow her lead. I mean, why wouldn't they? If saying racist slurs wasn't going to get her canceled, if having a secret boyfriend wasn't going to get her canceled, if having 6 different guys you're gooning to at the same time wasn't going to get her canceled, then the million-dollar question was, what will? Well, what would end up canceling Elfin Saya, the person who had pretty much nurtured 100,000 castrated men who identified as white supremacists, would be the day that she was finally exposed as a Pakistani. So as I had already mentioned, Elfin's tweets would start to take a turn during the summer of 2025. Her edginess wouldn't just be for the sake of being edgy anymore. She would take on a sort of political rhetoric that you would maybe find during a Nick Fuentes stream. Look at this tweet, for example. Don't understand how you can live in this modern world and see all the bad shit happening and not immediately connect the dots and see that it's Jewish influence. So now, the Jews were responsible for everything. How about this tweet made a little while later saying, I love astronomy so much and I love stargazing, but I can't because there's too many immigrants in the UK and it scares me to go outside alone. As far as anyone was concerned, she wasn't even British. She wasn't from the UK, right? But there she was taking a political stance for a country that she doesn't even belong to. This tweet in particular will become way funnier later. You'll get why. But it wasn't just political rhetoric that was taking hold of her edginess. It was her edginess itself that was taking a whole other level.
Oh my.
For example, with her posting this image of her model saying, R word my model, then replying, sorry guys, I meant R word with an asterisk. The joke here is that she wasn't correcting herself, she actually meant it. She'd also make a conscious effort to play into the jokes and controversies that were made about her. Look at this tweet, for example. Groomer this, groomer that, come here, let me groom you. This was in reference to the Google Doc that was dropped about her, in which 6 men that were in their 20s said that she groomed them. At some point, she'd post a selfie that would get a lot of likes, of course, with her nose and mouth blurred because it would show her ethnicity, and had the caption, Elfin Browna. This was her playing into the joke that some people were starting to call her Pakistani. So look, by now, it might be obvious what she's trying to do. She was being heavily criticized when it came to her actions by the wider VTuber community, and yet, her own community also had criticisms relating to the fact that she might just be Pakistani. This was her attempting to play into the joke while also raising the bar for her edginess, hoping that it'll kind of insulate her from criticism. This desperate attempt of trying to move on from the
This is the 1,400 hours a year you waste on your phone. With Purdue Global, you can turn that time into a
fact that she might just be an immigrant and trying to move on from her controversies would result in some pretty embarrassing moments like her public crash out during the summer of 2025 when she would begin by saying, not a big fan of Indians. Someone would reply with, do not do this, you don't have to right-wing grift. This is probably someone who found her character and liked the design or just liked the belly pic. This is when she'd completely and totally crash out. Grift question mark? Someone would say, you're so brave and definitely not a pick-me who tries too hard to look based. To which she would say, uh-oh, the big pick-me word, I'm so scared, please don't use it. Funny, when I voice my unfiltered opinions, I'll get random retards saying, oh my god, pick me, oh my god, grifter. You realize when I say shit like that, I lose and filter more people rather than gain, right? I'd rather have people know what I think about it than just follow me for cute tummy pics, expecting a wholesome person. Keck. Funny enough, my opinions have remained the same since I was 14 on major social issues. I think I'm pretty consistent with my mentality on things. It's so
I know, right?
How she thought this was a flex. That same person, snot-nosed swagger, would call her out and say, so you have the same opinions as a 14-year-old? Wow! And then he'd get blocked. She couldn't handle it. She crashed out and she just couldn't handle it anymore. The crash outs and weird behavior wouldn't be constricted to just Twitter, though. It would also happen in her Discord. She started saying things that were definitely out of place. I mean, they were fairly random, right? For someone who was maybe Slavic or American, saying things like, Northern Pakistan is entirely Aryan. No one seems to understand that. Pretty suspicious thing to say when you're not Pakistani. All of a sudden, this was very different from the rhetoric she was taking about immigrants and Pakistanis in general when it came to the UK. She used to tweet things like, if leftists think some girl on the internet is a pedophile for posting petite girls that look like her on the internet, then why do they promote immigration that bring in Muslim, pedophile, and racists? Curious. This is really funny when you consider the fact that some of the biggest Muslim immigrants to the UK are Pakistani, right? You see where I'm going with this? All of a sudden, when the pressure was mounting on Elfin and it seemed like it was inevitable that she was going to be revealed as Pakistani, she started shifting the blame from Muslims to the Jews, saying things like, oh, the reason why all the Muslims are coming to Europe was because Jews want to destroy society. She'd also suspiciously start saying things like this. I'm not gonna lie, Muslims got one thing right, and it's that pigs are filthy animals.
NANI?!
No nutritional value and so much fat relative to beef and chicken, not even enough protein. Pork sucks in general, bacon is good sometimes, but bacon in the UK is terrible. Oddly suspicious to say this. This isn't edgy or based. This sounds like someone who's guilty. And that's because she was. Look, eventually it was very hard to deny this. 4chan was after her ass, and they were revealing the fact that she used to be on 4chan when she was younger. There are threads dating back to as far as 2021 where they were referring to her as someone who was very attractive and was peak wife material. They'd be calling her their ideal crush, their ideal wife when she was a minor, mind you. And one of those people complimenting her would say, lives in Pakistan. Additionally, what didn't help was that her name was doxed, and it was painfully Arabic. Pakistan is a Muslim country that's heavily influenced by Muslim culture, so of course they have a lot of Arab names. At this point, it was simply undeniable no matter how much she wanted it to not be true. So around the end of December 2025, she would admit to her Discord, "Yes, I'm Pakistani, but I promise I'm only half Pakistani." People would start hating on her, and of course she'd do what she did best, suicide bait, saying, "Whatever, dude, stop hating me because I'm a halfie. Fuck, I'm gonna kill myself."
Yeah, whatever.
This when I thought Elf was white. The hand reveal ruined everything. Then she would say, "Jesus, okay, leave then, asshole." She'd then say, guys, I'm only half Pakistani, okay? I'm half Slavic. I'm Ukrainian. Please, there's some white in me. But then she would realize a very important realization, saying, "You guys hate me because I'm a halfie. I get it. Y'all don't even consider Slavs white either, so I'm double brown. I hate my life."
I am
and
this.
You're wondering, why is it
I
that
am
the community of
that.
white supremacists didn't consider Slavs white? Well, in these extremely edgy internet circles, they have a big problem.
The $5 big breakfast deal is back at Wawa. Get any sizzling, any size.
With the fact that the Ukrainian president Zelensky is Jewish. They think he's some Jewish puppet and he's prolonging the war on purpose, right? That's their viewpoint. So to them, Ukrainians were Jewish. They were part of the problem. Someone would say, "And your dad's Ukrainian," in parentheses, Jewish, to which you would say, "He's not Jewish," in all caps. So now, she wasn't just seen as half Muslim, she was also seen as half Jewish, the two things that her community hated the most, and she made them that way. You have to understand, not everyone who found Elfin had that ideology. Some of them were totally innocent, found her through a belly picture, liked her, maybe fell in love with her because they're mentally ill, and then saw that she thought this way ideologically and started sharing those same opinions. And now they were being backstabbed, betrayed. How dare you be exactly what you've been hating on for so long? Some people would start saying, "Hey, maybe you're not Pakistani, maybe you're just Indian," to which you would say, "I'm too cute to be Indian, please guys." Like, how dare you call a Pakistani
Yeah,
Indian?
you betrayer.
This would all keep building up until Christmas Day, the 25th of December 2025, when Elfin, in an extremely drunken state, would post a tweet that's barely legible, saying, "I'm drunk enough to come out. I'm Pak, mom's side, and Ukrainian, dad's side. I'm a halfie, LMFAO,
Post to present.
right? I'm not Muslim and I hate Muslims. I love Christmas. I'm more Slavic than anything because I grew up Slavic. Slava Ukraina, Pakistan Zindabad." So look, just like with Riri Gaki, right, with her black boyfriend, this normally should have never been a problem. If anything, this would have been something to celebrate. Like, "Oh, you come from very different cultures. Cool, that's awesome. Wow." The only person that made it a problem was her. And as you can see from the 186 replies, her community wasn't really too happy about this. The next step was her trying to appease her community. Look, she knew what they wanted. They wanted what was in between her legs. So she would desperately tweet things out like, "Aryan man, please colonize me. Aryan man, please colonize the girl failure. Stinky bitch, Aryan man." I mean, at this point, it was just pathetic. The only feelings most people had when seeing this was pity. Like, come on, dude, what are you doing? Then on the 29th of December, she would tweet this out all of a sudden saying, "I hate being who I am and I hate being like this. I can't do this anymore for a bit. I'm sorry. I don't know when I'll be back, but I'm fucking sorry I'm like this. I hope you're all well and please don't miss someone like me. Goodbye for now." What would immediately follow after is her
stop
deactivating
it
her
already.
account and disabling all invites to her Discord server. Now look, reactions were mixed to this, but as you might have guessed, the majority of the VTuber community was celebrating, okay? Hitler was dead. This stain on VTubers' reputations, as well as her insufferable community, were finally gone. We won. On the other end of these celebrations, though, were some very heartbroken men, saying things like, "I hope Elfin Psyop comes back." Yeah, she's mentally ill and likes to provoke people, but she's not so bad that she deserves to have something terrible happen to her. Or this guy saying, "I really hope Elfin Psyop is okay. The racism towards her because of who she is unacceptable, and I genuinely hope she didn't hurt herself. No one deserves to be treated like that." It's like, bro, are we talking about the same person here? That's literally what she did every single day. And to make matters worse, when she deactivated her account, this person would tweet this out, saying, "Another VTuber that I spent thousands of dollars making merch for just deactivated her socials without any warning whatsoever and isn't responding to my messages." Yes, of course, this person was referring to Elfin Psyop. This post got a lot of attention and it showed how much of a wreck she really was. Look, overall, it wasn't just embarrassing to be Elfin at this point. It was also humiliating to be one of her fans. I mean, these guys were hopeless. They were like, yeah, I know she's half Indian, but look, she's half white. I know we're meant to hate Muslims and minorities, but please, just make an exception for her. I'll fix her, wife her up, and prolong the white race. Please, let's just make her an exception. Now, as pathetic as this sounds, it wasn't a surprise. No one was ever interested in her.
Yeah, please, guys.
It was all about her belly and the fact that she was a woman who was promiscuous. Politically speaking, though, they gave themselves some...
Here you are.
hope that, hey, at least she's half white, but even that illusion was about to be shattered. That's because 4chan would go above and beyond, as they always do, and would find irrefutable proof that she's not half Pakistani, she is full Pakistani. 4chan would go through her previous usernames on Steam. And before using Elfin Psyop in 2021, she'd be known as Absurd Comrade. Well, would you look at that? There's an Osu account that was created back in September 2020 that had the same exact name, and also used the profile picture of a character that Elfin liked a lot, Megumin from Konosuba. It also had the flag of Pakistan on the profile. And this was a very big deal because this was region-based. Yes, it was based on your IP. This meant that as far back as 2020, Elfin was in Pakistan. She wasn't raised Slavic. She was raised in a country in which 99.99% of people are Muslim. And those Muslim immigrants going to the UK that she kept insulting every single day, well, she was literally one of them. I mean, seriously, the jokes just write themselves here. Like, how stupid is this? At this point, it was official. She was nothing more than a self-hating grifter. Many such cases, but not many with this many followers and that much of a community. But just as people thought that she was finally defeated, that she was gone forever, she would literally come back just a few days later. And while she was expecting a bunch of hugs and kisses, she instead got the final blow to her short but very interesting career. So look, it was at this point that I started working on this video, but then I saw that she had tweeted on January 4th saying, "Hey, what's up, retards? I'm back. I went to a museum. I did a bunch of different things." She'd even post a selfie and a tank, the flag of Pakistan. Her post would get thousands of likes.
Back,
the community was
baby.
so happy she was back. They were celebrating and saying, "Oh my God, I was worried about you. Oh my God, thank you so much for coming back. Oh, I missed you." So I was like, oh, I guess we're gonna pretend like nothing happened. Okay. She'd say, all the speculation about me leaving for weird reasons was all wrong, lol. I left because I had personal reasons. This is when I figured, okay, dude, whatever. Like, who cares? I'm just going to work on something else. And look, I want to make one thing clear. If Elfin continued as she always had operated and didn't change a single thing, then she could have very easily kept her career and her community. Again, they didn't care about her political ideology, okay? They just wanted a chance to get in a Discord call with her and have her goon. But what she would do 2 days later on January 6th, 2026, would be the dumbest thing I have ever seen anyone do on the internet ever, admitting to the distribution of child pornography.
No.
She'd make this tweet out of nowhere, saying, "Guys, I have a little announcement to make. So this may not come as much of a shock to some of you, but to most of the majority, I want to be truthful to all of you. When I first started VTubing, I was 17 years old. My hallmates living with me were older than me and would buy me all the alcohol. So I pretended to be a bit older online. I came to the UK to study a foundation year at 16, turning 17. They let you go early, especially if you have good grades. I'm 19 right now. The funniest part of all this is that I never told my age to anyone because I didn't want people to think it's weird someone underage is talking about stupid shit online. And the lie had gone for so long for me to tell the truth. But I'm a solid age now that I don't care. It's kind of why I suck at saying what age I learned what. Like,
Yeah,
I started
that
going on
will do
4chan
it.
when I was 14, but what I mean is like 11. I wanted to sound older somehow. I had to get a proper ID for 18 when I turned 18, and it was exhilarating buying my own beer. Ha 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 ha. Now here's the bombshell. Also, just thought to put this out there because all the images that my haters have been leaking are all technically CP, XD. Good luck. So yeah, what seemed like a post of her just being edgy as always, saying, "Hey, I've always been edgy. I've always been on 4chan. I've thought the same thing since I was 14," ended up being one of the dumbest admissions of guilt I've ever seen in my life. Yes, she's been on 4chan since she was a minor, and yes, since then, she's been promiscuous. She's been sending explicit images of herself. She's been sexting. She distributed illegal material, and she's out here talking about it like, "Oh, gotcha." Someone would, of course, point this out, replying, "You realize taking the pictures and uploading them is you transmitting/distributing illegal CP as well, right? Just because it's yourself doesn't remove that." This is when Elfin would say, "Yeah, I know, but that shit was ages ago, and I sent it to a few people at different time intervals. I didn't know they would leak it because they're awful people. I hope they suffer, smiley face. This is of course in reference to the many nudes you can find online of her, so that means a lot of websites are hosting CP at the moment, if she's to be believed. At this point, she was
gaslighting and evil.
And this is when Johnzilla would make this Twitter thread, saying, most people think Elfin Psyop privated because she crashed out over her white supremacist friends finding out that she isn't white. But in actuality, it was because it was found out she groomed and sent weird and inappropriate things to minors on her Discord server. The first example would be how she made a community member who was 16 draw a doujin, right? Like some sort of a adult comic of her and a VTuber she looked up to. He would post it in her Discord and she would say, holy fucking shit, dude.
Harold has metastatic prostate cancer, but like you, Harold has stuff to do. He takes Nubeca.
Oh my god, she was very excited over it. She'd also send him some very explicit messages, like for example, he'd make artwork of her holding a gun on her stomach, and she'd say, I love the weight of the gun on my stomach, it makes me very horny. And finally, there would be this screenshot in which she says, when I grow up, I'm going to be like Masato and groom blah blah blah, and there'd even be a message with her saying, pedophile bros, rise up. So now her community had to wrestle with the fact that not only was she not a virgin, not only was she not white, but she was also someone who was practically a weirdo to minors. Go figure. What Johnzilla had posted was part of a wider expose that fully sought to expose Elfin and ruin her career that was posted on 4chan. In it, we can see even more images, like how, for example, she would let this minor into an NSFW 18+ channel knowing that he's a minor. She doesn't care. Why would she? But look, I know at this point you're thinking she's completely irredeemable. No way she still has fans, right? Well, there's a reason I refer to her fans throughout this whole video as castrated men. They're not castrated like literally, like physically. They're castrated mentally, in the sense that they stand for nothing. Their life is meaningless in the sense that they're willing to throw anything away just for a chance at having a gooner girlfriend. Someone would reply to Johnzilla's thread saying, what the fuck? Based? Me next! In all caps. So guys, I don't care. She could murder someone. She could, I don't know, carpet bomb an entire family neighborhood. I don't care. I don't care. Please, just get in a call with me and goon. Please. I've never had a woman touch me. Please. The second-hand embarrassment would continue for Elfin, though. She would post an AI-generated clip of Brody Fox, a content creator, with him saying slurs that he never said because it's AI. It would perform abysmally, and he would reply to her saying, why did you groom minors and distributed CP? Linking Johnzilla's thread, out-ratioing her by 5 times. Yeah, at this point it was obvious. Elfin was becoming a lolcow. In fact, she had already become one by the time she deactivated the first time in December. Seeing how much the pressure was mounting and how many of her close friends or community members were telling her, you're a dumbass for admitting this, you have to do something to contain this disaster, she would make this tweet in a desperate attempt to calm people down, saying, I lied. I lied about my age and being younger at the time because there's images of me on the internet that I sent to people I trusted. Never full nudity, and they used AI to make revenge porn of it. They actively posted on all spaces I'm in, trying to get back at me for rejecting them. How do you counter that? How do you even stop it? So yeah, I lied to scare them. Yeah, right. And I'm French. What are we doing? Lying now? No one believed that, especially with the proof that she so readily invited a 16-year-old into an NSFW channel on her Discord.
What do you know what?
And even Elfin had enough self-awareness to understand that. This is why shortly afterwards, a day later, on January 7th, 2026, she would yet again deactivate her Twitter, but this time wipe her YouTube channel and pretty much delete all socials. And the final thing she'd do is post an announcement on Discord, pretty much announcing her graduation and how she was ceasing all activities for good now. Here's what she had to say. Hey, thank you for always being by my side. When I first started streaming, it was crazy to me to have so many people like me so much and want to talk to me. It felt exhilarating to have friends in a community. All the art I got, all the friendships I made, the 10-hour Among Us sessions, it was incredible. Probably the best time I've ever had in my life. I wouldn't trade this time for the world. It meant everything to me, and you guys meant everything to me. I'd like to thank you all for being amazing agents. That's what she called her community. For believing in me, even though I've always been a massive loser. For always taking by my side, buying my merch, liking me at all. I wish I could give you more than this. I wish I could be more than what I am for you guys, and I'm so sorry for disappointing you like I do every time. But I just wanted to say I really love you guys. Despite all the controversies and dramas we've been through, it's been way too fun to want to forget all of this. I guess the Elfin saga had to end on a weird bittersweet note like this. Fucking chaotic. It definitely wasn't meant to last. I never believed in myself that much. Too much shit has happened, and I'm too small of a person to be able to handle it alone. I've lost. It doesn't matter anymore. Please don't be sad when I'm gone. You can always look back on memories. So corny. I'll be graduating for good. I wish I could have a stream rather than this Discord announcement, but this is the best I can bring myself to doing. I don't want to seem pathetic on stream, have to act nonchalant. Thank you for being with me, I love you all, it was really nice while it lasted, heart emoji. And so this was it. This time, it was actually official. It wasn't like the other time she
So
deactivated and just came back a
long.
few days later. No, this was it. Elfin psyop would be no more. And as you might have guessed, people celebrated again. But her community was gutted. And shortly afterwards, she would completely delete her Discord. Elfin psyop is a real one. I'm gonna miss my homie. I'm broken right now. She'll be with us always, in one form or another. Plenty more Indian women out there. Just go to India and bring one home. Dude, look at this tweet. Just look. Oh my god. When I die, Elfin will still be on my mind. I couldn't forget these past couple of years if I tried. Castrated beyond belief. You see, when people make fun of the male loneliness epidemic, don't show them statistics, okay? Don't make them think that it's just some guy who's sad that he's single. Show them these people mourning as if they lost a family member, when in fact it was just some grifter who was a pop.
At Wayfair, we bring style to every get-together. We brought wings.
You mean these wingback chairs? Dive in, everyone.
Pakistani woman that pretended she was white. It is so pathetic, man. Okay, this is probably my favorite tweet. Okay, this is... Your Paki brothers will miss you, Elfin Pakistan.
Yeah, so
There was
sad
a
too.
lot of funny memes. Gets called brown once, fucking dies. Look at this guy. I wake up with the New Year's hangover, and one of the first things I learn is that Elfin is brown. First off, the fuck that I missed. Second off, is there a single one of you motherfuckers that's actually white? And just like that, the legendary meteoric rise of Elfin as quickly as it had started. Not with a bang, not with a whisper, but in a flaming hot pile of shitty diarrhea. But hey, as far as I know, the artist that had been ghosted by Elfin worked things out, and now you have an attorney involved. Meanwhile, Riri is still crying over the fact that she grifted, tried to be Elfin, and now her entire career is ruined. Hey man, all I gotta say is you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. But before I end the video, I do want to point out something that's very, very interesting. There's a conspiracy theory going around right now. The reason why Elfin left and deleted all socials is because she's being pursued by UK tax authorities. You see, when you would donate to her PayPal link, it would show an email. It would say payment to blank blank at hotmail.com. And this was clearly not her name. This was a man's name. This was her boyfriend that she had while she cheated on him with 6 other guys. However, you have to remember, Elfin was in the UK under a student visa, which doesn't allow her to work or earn any income. It seemed like she was funneling all her earnings to her boyfriend. So the theory is that maybe she broke up with her boyfriend and he found out that she cheated on him with 6 guys and she was doing all this dumb shit on the internet. So now he's getting the tax authorities after her so he can reclaim the money that she took from him while also getting her kicked out of the country. Definitely an interesting theory, but I do think it might be a bit of a reach. I guess only time will tell. I personally think that Elfin will try to pull a Gunpei because she's practically Gunpei but 10 times worse. Eventually she might recreate a new persona, a new character, and try to come back into streaming slowly. Will she carefully disguise herself? No, people will recognize her, but her community will be very happy that she's back because as you can see, there's a void in their hearts that still hasn't been filled, guys. I've made so many videos, throughout this career. Some of them involve disturbing topics, but I've never been so disturbed as I have been while researching for this video. I'm sure you also lost hope in humanity multiple times as you were watching this, so hey, you're welcome. And I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching until the end. As a reminder, make sure to check out my Stacked page, okay? It's going to be filled to the brim with content. I'm going to be very active there. You'll find the link in the description and the pinned comment. Thank you so much again. I love you so much, platonically, and I'll see you in the next video, whenever that is. Mwah!
Will she be back? Who knows, guys? Who knows?